Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. And this is actually what I want to talk about today, because it's not just a button that we push and go, okay, I'm going to peace out, and then we never have to do it again, right? Wouldn't that be awesome? What if we could talk to God about that, installing a button that we could just push, right? Because this is where my mind has gone this morning, is that most of the things are just not one-time deals. Now, salvation is, we trust God, we're saved, period. Yes and amen. We get saved. We choose to serve God. That is a one-time decision, but that doesn't mean that stuff doesn't come up over and over again. And so I was thinking this morning about, I've got several things on my plate that I'm just trying to express to God, and I need some direction. I need some wisdom. I need some help, right? And so I'm like, I was putting those back on God's plate again this morning. That's a way of trusting Him, is saying, I don't know what to do with this, you help me. I don't know what to do with this, you help me. I don't know what to do with this, you help me. I'm just going to wait on you. But that's not easy, right? And so we got to trust Him every single day. Every single day there's going to be something comes up, and we're going to have that choice. Am I going to worry, or am I going to trust God? Am I going to sit over here and try to figure it all out myself, which is what I do? Or am I going to wait? And it's so hard to wait. It's so hard to wait for the answer. It's hard to wait for the solution. It's hard to wait for the action. That's a hard spot. But it's not a one-time deal. We've got to every day get up and say, I'm going to trust you today. It's the battle, because it's not just one battle, right? It's not just this battle to get saved and then there's never another battle. If just salvation, salvation's wonderful, don't get me wrong, right? We're saved and we could sing about it. Saved, He saved us to the uttermost, it says in Acts, and we're thankful and we're going to act on that, and we are saved. It's done, right? But there's always another battle. Every day brings a new battle. And so every day we have to choose, am I going to let this battle have me? Or am I going to trust God again? I've got to fight each battle that comes. And the battle, most of them are in our head, right? And we've got an enemy that wants us to fear, that wants us to doubt, that wants us to give in to anxiety. And I have been giving in to anxiety lately, and I'm trying to get to that place where I'm like, okay, let's just trust God with this. And so it's not just a one-time deal. We don't just say, oh, peace out, and then I'm going to just be peaced out forever, right? It's an everyday thing. I have to keep coming back to the truth that God's got me covered. I got to keep coming back to the truth that He's going to get me through today. He's going to get me through this situation. And then when the next situation comes, I'm going to trust Him to get me through that again. So it's an everyday thing of going back to Him and trusting Him with whatever's on our plate. Because our plates change, our problems change, our situations change, the battle changes. David fought Goliath once, but he had many battles in his lifetime. I'm reading about David right now. I'm in 2 Samuel now, and he's finally king, but he's already had so many different battles. He was a warrior, and you don't get to be a warrior until you fought some battles. He lost some battles. He won some battles, right? But everything, he had to keep fighting those battles because he was a warrior, because he was pursuing what God had given him and how God had anointed him as king. He was still pursuing the promise that God made. And yet he spent a lot of time in a cave doing it because there's no buttons to push. God says, I'm going to bless you coming in and going out, but there's not a button to push. The button is saying, God, I'm going to trust you with this. And then there's going to be a that comes up. And what we do is we take that and say, God, I'm going to trust you with that. And then there's those that come up. And it's okay. We're going to take those and we're going to say, God, I'm going to trust you with those. And then there's some these over here. Oh, what am I going to do with the these? Right? Okay, God, I'm going to trust you with these. It's a repetitive action. Everything that comes at you in a day, and that can be a lot, just has to be bundled up, prayed about, and given back to God, and just say over and over again, God, I'm just going to trust you. Because it's not a trust button. There is one big decision that says, I'm going to trust God no matter what. That's a big decision, right? You can make that ultimately, Ultimately, there's a one-time decision where you're going to say, God, I'm yours. I'm going to trust you. I want to live for you. I want to love your word. I want to love you. Right? There's a one-time decision. There we go. I lost me for a second. Okay, I think I'm back. I hope I didn't start all over. Anyway, there's a one-time decision to marry someone. But then that doesn't mean that it's, you get a little honeymoon season, but then it doesn't mean that there's not trouble that you have to work through on a daily basis. That relationship matures over time. The relationship grows over time. You learn your little likes and dislikes, and you learn what sets somebody off or what doesn't, and how to please them and how to not, right? And it's a work in progress, and our relationship with God is a work in progress, even though the decision to get saved and to trust Him with our lives may be one big decision. Every day there's stuff coming at us that we got to go back and go, God, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you with this. And see, so I found myself in Psalm 31. Go figure, I wrote Psalm 31 days in Psalm 31, right? If you don't have it, I'll tell you where to get a copy. And in this psalm, David said several times, he starts with the first verse. He says, in you, O Lord, I put my trust. He started the psalm with that. He started with, okay, there's a lot going on, but I'm going to trust you. I'm going to trust you. And then he says it again in verse 6. I hated those who regard useless idols, but I will trust in the Lord. Then he says it again in verse 16. But as for me, I trust in you, O Lord. He said it 3 times in just this psalm. He kept saying, I trust you. In Psalm 57:1, he starts with, my soul trusts in you, O God. And I'm going to stay in the shadow of your wings until these calamities are past. Right? So he's always going back to that. So that means that no matter what's going on right now, no matter what it is, we can just give it to God again. And if you have to do it 10 times in a day, just keep giving it back to Him and declaring that you're going to trust God with it. If you have to do it 25 times in a day over the same thing, just keep bundling it up and giving it back to God and going, I'm going to trust you. I'm going to let your peace reign. If you have to do it 100 times in a day, that's okay. That would be about 4 times an hour and 5 some hours, right? Because 4 would only be 96, right? So you'd have, so 4 hours you'd have to do it 5 times, right? But it's okay. God can handle it, and He can take care of you. And so no matter how many times you got to come back to Him in a day, in an hour, in a minute, just keep coming back and going, I will trust you. Keep pushing that button. It's not a one-time deal, because as soon as you trust Him with something, that door closes, it's all settled, you got that peace. There's going to be something else. Nobody's saying that you're never going to have to let His peace reign again. Nobody's saying that there's never going to be another problem you got to take to Him. As a matter of fact, it's an all-day, everyday type of thing. There's always something on our plates that we need to package up and give back to God, and we just got to wait. And that's where we trust Him. And it happens over and over again. But remember, we have this promise in Isaiah. He doesn't get weary. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't clock out and go home. He doesn't have off hours. He doesn't have closed office hours. He doesn't have open office hours. He doesn't get tired. He doesn't get weary. He is always there for us. Out. Peace out. Have a great day. I'll see you again tomorrow.